Hello, Fields of Life family, and welcome to our first virtual event, our Inspire Conference. Our aim for tonight is to leave you feeling inspired to pray, inspired to be part of this global family, and inspired to give. We're excited to share with you a number of things this evening. We are going to be meeting our new CEO, Jeff Andrews. We're going to be hearing music from Nathan Jess and Leah McFall. We're going to be meeting our team in East Africa, and we're even going to have some African dancing from our Kampala office. We're also going to be hearing stories of hope and stories of transformation from across our global network. Now, I'm sure many of you who are watching tonight will have received our Love Is brochure through your letterbox, a campaign that is about showing love to over 26,000 children and young people in East Africa during this pandemic. And we hope that you found that literature really inspiring. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Love Is a few times. And just in order to start things off, here is a video to tell you a little bit about what Love Is all about.
By closing all the primary and secondary schools,
Now, that is just a taster of what Love Is all about. And I'm delighted to be able to share with you that every donation given tonight is going to be doubled. So please do give generously. And if you'd like to give, please visit our website at fieldsoflife.org. Now, we are keen to introduce you to our wider Fields of Life network. And the real heroes of Fields of Life are not in Northern Ireland, they're not in Cork, but they're in East Africa. And specifically, our team in Kampala office, Uganda, who work tirelessly on the front line to deliver education, water, and hope to very vulnerable communities. And many of you know that this year we sadly had to say goodbye to our executive director in Kampala, Edna. And Edna, if you're watching, we really do miss you. But I'm delighted to be able to share with you and introduce you to our new executive director, Esther. And we thought, who best to introduce you to Esther but Ross McQueen, who has just recently traveled across to Uganda, and he is going to introduce you to Esther. So over to you, Ross.
Hey there, I am Ross McQueen, and I've been with Fields of Life now for just over 2 years. It's hard to believe that Jane, my wife, and I moved out to Kampala here 2 years ago to the week, and we are just having a ball. We love this place, we love the people, and the more and more time that we get to spend here, that we get to live here, the more we just fall in love with it. I initially moved out as part of the infrastructure team, overseeing any construction work that was being done in Uganda and Rwanda, getting to cover all four corners of both countries. And but since then, my role has developed slightly into helping the team and leading the team here to develop its relationships and partnerships with other organizations, businesses, partners here in Kampala. So I've just started that role, and already I'm absolutely loving it. I'm very excited about what that is going to entail moving forward. Before moving on to the real crux of this short piece, I've been asked to give a brief sort of description of what Jane and I have experienced through how we view Uganda since returning in October. We unfortunately had to go home whenever lockdown was announced back in March. But we're very glad to say that we've obviously returned here to Uganda. But our first impressions are that life is, well, it's very different to how things are in the UK. I suppose life has to be different. The attitude to COVID for a country where the government simply can't provide a furlough scheme, where the majority of the population live hand to mouth each day, lockdown simply isn't an option. Lockdown was attempted by the government back in March for a few months, but the president acknowledged that it didn't work for a number of reasons, and so he said, and he's reluctant to go back to that again. So with that, life is, to one extent, very close to how it was whenever we left back in March. But on the other hand, there is the very real presence of the virus here in Kampala and further afield. There's reports of cases just skyrocketing. Hospitals are being overwhelmed. And so with that, there's the realization that, yeah, we have to continue to do our part. Although the measures may not be as strict as they are back in the UK, we definitely have a part to play in keeping the virus at bay and protecting one another. So anyway, enough from me, and let's move on to why we're really here. And I just want to, at this point, introduce our new Executive Director, Esther Sempebwa, who has been running our organisation for a few months now. So Esther, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just going to ask Esther a few questions just to give our viewers, wherever you're watching from, just an idea of who this lady is and how she ended up in the top seat here in East Africa. So Esther, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Ross. I'm Esther. I'm married to Robert, and together we have one biological daughter, Deborah, but we also have several other children under our care, some of whom are part of our extended family and others part of our church members. And we're very privileged to be part of the Fields of Life family. Before joining Fields of Life, I worked with World Vision for about 10 years. I worked with Send a Cow for another about 10 years. I worked with Office of the Prime Minister briefly, and now here I am, the Fields of Life. Yes, and I've loved it.
So when did you start with Fields of Life?
I started on 1st June 2020, just after the lockdown.
Amazing. And tell us, what are your first initial impressions about the organisation? What have you enjoyed most about being with us here?
Yeah, when I joined Fields of Life, I realized that Fields of Life may not be so big in name, but we're actually very big in impact. I think of it as a kind of David and Goliath story, a kind of a David in the countryside, doing exploits without anybody taking notice. That's what Fields of Life is doing. I've loved it because a lot of work is good. Before I joined Fields of Life, I didn't know so much about it. But when I joined, I was wondering where I was all along, why I didn't join much earlier. So I'm so excited. Yeah, the impact is just so tremendous, the impact of the work you're doing. And then also the family feel among the staff, the partners, the beneficiaries. There are no boundaries. We're all family. We're here for the same purpose. And I've loved that.
Amazing. Thank you, Esther. So you heard briefly about my experience of being in Uganda, I suppose post-lockdown in this new COVID world. What's your take on COVID in Uganda right now?
Thank you. Uganda, like any other country, has been greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And as Ross mentioned, the public is trying to cope as much as they can. And as Fields of Life, it has been an opportunity to serve our beneficiaries and help them cope. For instance, during the lockdown, schools were locked down and several things became scarce with ordinary people. Even necessities like food became scarce. And it was an opportunity for us to stand with our beneficiaries in solidarity. And Fields of Life used the opportunity to reach out with food supplies, reach out with hand washing facilities, reach out with these communities with community awareness programs over the radio stations about protection of the girl child. We created awareness about gender-based violence, because it escalated a lot during the lockdown. We created awareness about families supporting the children to study from home, and also distributing self-study materials to the children, to the sponsored children, which has helped them cope, because schools have been closed for now 7 months. And without these self-study materials, a lot of children will not be in contact with any form of learning at all. So that's how we hope the communities to go. But looking at the period we're in as a nation, we're into our presidential election period. We've never been as relevant as we are going to be now, because we have again now to work even harder to create awareness to the masses about the importance of social distancing, hand washing, and all the other SOPs. Because with all the excitement of election, even our children, because they're the majority, 48% of our country, is children under 15 years. They form part of the groups that run after the candidates. I know that the excitement. So we are going to be creating again a lot of awareness about the need for people to keep themselves from COVID-19.
Great, thank you, Esther. Finally, tell us, what is it about the work you're doing that gets you up out of bed and gets you excited for the day ahead?
Wow, the Arc of Fields of Life is the kind of work that gives purpose. That's why we work. Whenever I come to my office every day, whenever I walk into the gates of Fields of Life, I know I'm on a mission. I know that my every decision, my every signature is impacting the life of a child, is impacting the soul out there. So what brings me to work every day is that I know I'm here in this office representing several other people, the children, the women, the many men down there in the communities have trusted me to make decisions for them. Because at the end of the day, it's about transforming their lives in a sustainable way. I think about the supporters that are giving us the funds. They've trusted us, they've trusted me. So it gives me the whole purpose of coming to work every day, knowing that I'm just a steward, being trusted by partners, by beneficiaries, and by field staff.
There you have it. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you very much for that. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our new Executive Director here out in East Africa, Esther Simpebwa. So we're just going to wrap up there just before we get eaten alive by any more ants and mosquitoes. But thanks very much, guys. See you later.
See you.
Thank you, Ross and Esther. Now, we wanted to introduce you to all our staff in East Africa. And we wondered, what would be the best way to introduce our talented, amazing, professional team? And like you, we thought the best way to do that, of course, in true African style, is in the form of dance. Wouldn't you agree? Have a look at this.
Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami
Wow, what a team. And maybe it'll even go viral. But I know what you're thinking. Why would we stop there? Maybe we could even get our board of trustees and our supporters to dance as well. Well, if you make it to the end of this conference with a Fields of Life exclusive, we can show you even the Reverend Trevor Stevenson doing some incredible African dance moves. So please don't miss that. Now, many of you know that as well as saying goodbye to Edna this year, we also had to say goodbye to our CEO, Richard Spratt. And I know that Richard and Katie are watching this evening, and they are still remaining amazing volunteers and supporters. But with every sunset comes a sunrise, and tonight we are introducing you to our new CEO, Jeff Andrews, who just arrived 2 weeks ago. So here is a little introduction from Jeff Andrews.
Well, hello, and this is great to be able to join you on this conference. Of course, it would have been much better to be able to meet face to face, but it's also great that more people can join in because we're online today. So that's wonderful. So it's really exciting to have joined Fields of Life as the new CEO. A little bit about me. I'm single. I have no children. My parents died a long time ago. So that's made me free to travel around the world. And I've been living in outside of the country for 12 years. And of that time, 10 years in East Africa. So it's great to be in an organization which works in the part of the world where I have dedicated most of the last 12 years of my life. Although not brought up in a Christian family, I became a committed Christian about the age of 13. And soon after that, I felt a calling to work in Africa, and particularly in food. And then that took me into my academic background in food manufacturing. And then I completed a PhD. And then I was in the UK food manufacturing industry for 18 years. But I was always looking for that opportunity to move to Africa. And in 2005, I came across the organization MEDAIR, a Swiss humanitarian organization. And 2 years later, in November 2007, I was in northern Uganda leading a project there. I stayed in Uganda for a little over 2 years. And then since then, I've worked a couple of years in Democratic Republic of Congo, and then in Burundi. And most recently, I've just in March returned from 2 years in South Sudan. I've now moved to Belfast, Outside of work, well, I like staying active. I've just joined the gym next door. I'll be buying a bicycle in the next few days. I'm looking forward to exploring Northern Ireland on foot and on a bike. I'm looking forward to getting involved in a church. And when possible, I want to get back to dancing. So I used to do a lot of jive, and maybe add some tango and some salsa to that. So I'm looking forward to that. And I also love entertaining. So hopefully at some stage in the future when I'm allowed to, I'll be able to invite some of you to dinner in my apartment. So it's just great to join Fields of Life and to an organization which is working in the part of the world where I've committed the last 12 years of my life. So great to be with you. Thank you. Coming to Fields of Life, there's two exciting parts of that for me. One is making home here in Northern Ireland. In June of last year, I decided it was time to re-establish myself in the UK, to find a job, and wherever that job would be, that's where I'd make my home. So I'm now here. I've rented an apartment in Belfast, and I'm looking forward to making this home. But joining Fields of Life is as CEO. That's exciting. It's great to be able to join a new organization and taking on the responsibilities and the challenges of being the CEO. It's a great organization. I think my predecessor, Richard, has laid a great foundation on which I'm sure we will be building. I've really enjoyed meeting the staff here in Belfast, and I've had some great times talking to the team in Uganda as well. Just the work of Fields of Life is so important. Education is such a transformative investment into young lives, particularly girls, and to be able to see people come through primary, secondary, and then into vocational training. I think that's a great journey on which to participate and collaborate with young people. And then water and sanitation has such an impact in schools, and I think particularly of enabling girls to continue their education right through secondary school and beyond. And I've worked in East Africa. I particularly remember a time in northern Uganda when we went to a village which had no water supply, and the women were walking 3 hours to the nearest clean water source and then coming back. And I went to see the village, and they were dirty. Their clothes were dirty, they were dirty. I remember a young girl who had some grazes on her leg, and flies were crawling all over it. And it was simply that the women brought back enough water each day to drink and to cook, but not to clean and to wash. And then we drilled a well, and I remember going back some weeks afterwards, and the transformation was really visible. They were clean, their clothes were clean, there were far fewer flies, and I asked them what had been the major impact in their lives. And the men said, our women don't have to now walk 6 hours a day to the water source and back. They can work in the fields and grow more crops. But then I asked the women, and they said it's all about our security. We're not away from the village, distant from our families. We feel a lot safer remaining in our village. So yeah, just a water well can bring such a transformation to a village. And then education. I've personally supported some people through their education. I've been involved in other education projects, and just to see people who have really no prospects in a village, education is transformative. It just gives them so much hope and opens so many possibilities for the future. So yeah, I've seen wonderful examples, and I'm really excited that I'm going to be able to see more of those transformational events.
Thank you, Jeff and Esther. Fields of Life are so blessed to have you lead us through this next chapter. Now, this conference is all about inspiring, and we just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to everyone who has given, who ran and swam and cycled and walked in our virtual walk to Uganda to raise money for our COVID-19 emergency appeal back in March and April. We were overwhelmed by the generosity of our supporters. And I'm going to pass you over to my colleague, Alec Gason, who is the leader in Fields of Life Ireland. And Alex is just going to tell you a little bit about how your donations have made an incredible difference to hundreds of thousands of lives.
Hi, good evening everyone. It's lovely to be with you this evening. My name is Alex and I come to you from the Cork office in the south of Ireland tonight. I want to begin this evening by saying a massive thank you. Because of you, we were able to act quickly in our COVID-19 emergency response earlier this year. The first thing our team did was to set up a call centre based in Kampala to reach out to school communities and vulnerable rural villages to conduct a survey to find out what the needs were on the ground and where that need was greatest. Using this information, we were able to make informed decisions, and because of you, we were able to then provide 250,000 people with brand new hand washing facilities and reliable COVID-19 health information. Over 40,000 people were also helped with emergency food supplies. And here's a short video just to say a huge thank you to everyone and all of our heroes that made our emergency appeal happen. Now, as many of you are aware, one of the simplest ways that we can make a difference in response to a pandemic is to wash our hands regularly with soap and water. But ask yourself the question, what would you do if you didn't have access to running water? What if the only water that you had access to was full of dirt and disease? I'm going to show you a quick video now of how Fields of Life is meeting that need and reaching even the most vulnerable communities in rural areas with clean, safe water. Watch this. Imagine if you had to carry a jerry can miles from home every day to get water. That's the reality for more than 2 billion people in the world, having to walk miles every single day just to get clean water. Now throw COVID-19 into the mix and the situation is much more life-threatening. And maybe it's the same water source that animals are using. And when your water source is unprotected, that means you're at risk of typhoid, diarrhea, and other waterborne diseases. Now, if you're a man, you are drinking this water, but you're probably not the one going to get it. You're typically out on the farm. In most of the developing world, water is women's work. Now ladies, imagine walking through the bush for miles every day. Sadly, walking for water is where women are most at risk of sexual violence, and if they take too long getting that water, their husbands are suspicious, and when they get home, they are at a high risk of domestic violence as well. And how about the children? Think they're exempt from all this? Of course not. Imagine how many school days you would miss being sick from drinking dirty and contaminated water. Then we've had the year 2020, when we were all told continually to wash our hands and the importance of doing so to stop and reduce the spread of coronavirus. But without access to clean and safe water, effective hand washing is impossible. This impacts people's health and that of their family and community. Access to clean and safe water is more important now than ever before. It's easy to see how, when Fields of Life bring clean water to a community, everything changes. Women don't have to walk the path anymore. Children can stay in school. Our I Am Girl programme teaches both girls and boys how to make reusable sanitary ware and how to destigmatise menstruation. By placing wells in close proximity to schools, we're already partnering with We Make the well and the school more centralised community gathering places. The school flourishes, and more importantly, so does everyone in the community. At Fields of Life, we're not just focused on water or education, because they're actually inseparable. Without water, schools can't keep children in class, especially the girls. Without an education about sanitation and hygiene, water sources will continue to be compromised. We believe that everyone is at their best when they're able to be educated, free from gender-based violence, and most of all, healthy. To find out more about our water, sanitation and hygiene projects, visit fieldsoflife.org/water. Now, I've had the privilege of working with a number of our most faithful and generous supporters in the south of Ireland over the last 5 years. Wendy and Eamon Cahill have become friends, and they are two of those incredible supporters. Here's a story this evening of how they were able to support one of our drilling projects in memory of Wendy's father.
Hi everyone.
Hi everybody.
Just thank you for the opportunity this evening to join with you and just tell a bit of our story with Fields of Life. I suppose it began through my mum and dad a number of years ago through child sponsorship, and we sponsor Enoch and Olivia, and our own girls would have written to them down through the years and just built up a relationship with them, which has been wonderful. About 4 years ago, Dad passed away suddenly, and we as a family decided that it would perhaps be something we'd like to do would be to sink a well in his memory. So we got in touch with Alex, and he chatted it through with us. As we chatted, we realised that there was a need in both Enoch and Olivia's school area. And so we decided going forward that myself and Eamon would sink a well and Mom would sink a well in each of their schools. So this was a great opportunity, and Alex was going out at Easter on a fact find and asked us would we join him. So we said we would, and off we went. Really not understanding what was ahead, but it had a huge impact on us. I think just going into the village and actually seeing the effect of clean water on a village is something I'll never forget. The joy of the people, just realising that the girls now could collect water safely. They didn't have to be on dangerous roads for hours at a time, and that they could also go to school now as a result of the well being directly in the village. And just that the waterborne diseases that really would have affected particularly the infants and the elderly were just gone overnight. So it just had a huge impact on us. And I think coming home, we realised that it wasn't the end of the trip. It was possibly just the beginning of something. And we've had the privilege since of bringing out our own daughter and a group of teens as well on a trip. And we had another one ready to go as well, another trip ready to go just before COVID hit. So that one is on hold at the moment. But I think that was the impact mainly on me.
Yeah, and I think the word impact, as Wendy says, is probably a word that ties all what we have to say together. we were very impacted by Fields of Life. They're a very efficient and very effective charity in what they do, very transparent and a faith-based organisation. And we all were greatly impressed by that. Also, just how I was impacted personally after visiting Uganda was the joy and the strength and the resilience and the faith of the Ugandan people just bowled me over. I have never experienced such joy in my life than what I experienced from the people out there. And just if there's one person who epitomized that, we were invited to Dara High School, where the students put on a wonderful worship service and a welcome for our team. And one 17-year-old student stood up to preach, and he preached with such passion and such faith from his experience in Uganda that it all affected us deeply and profoundly. He spoke about just the spirit in you is greater than poverty, greater than disease, greater than any adversity. And that's something I still remember today and use in my own life when I face adversity. And that was just really summed up, I suppose, our trip in what he said. And yes, just impacted us greatly. So we just want to thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day and your evening, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just incredible. Thank you so much to Eamon and Wendy, and thank you to all of you who have given to this important work. Fields of Life have a vision to reach over 24,000 people with safe and clean water this year. And if you would like to be part of that, if you would like to give in memory of someone, or you would like to take a church team out when borders finally open again, then please don't hesitate to get in touch with someone at Fields of Life. Now, we are so humbled to have two very talented members of the Fields of Life family join us this evening. They're both singer-songwriters from Northern Ireland, Nathan Jess and Leah McFall. We are delighted that they can join us this evening, and we really hope that you enjoy listening to their music.
Hidden glory in creation. Nothing compares to this. silence will boast of sin and grave. And the heavens are roaring the praise of your glory. For you are raised to life again, and you have no rival, you have no equal. Now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names. What a powerful name it is! What a powerful name it is! The name of Jesus Christ, my King. Oh, what a powerful name it is! Nothing can stand against. What a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus. What a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus. All things are possible when we believe. Old chains are breakable when we receive Yahweh. You keep your promises. If you said it, we believe it. If you said it, if you said it, we believe it. If you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. If you said it, we believe it. Ooh, if you said it, we believe it. You're a man of your word.
All things are possible when we believe. Old chains are breakable when we receive your way. You keep your promises. If you said it, we believe it. If you said it,
If you said it, we believe it. Oh, if you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. If you said it, we believe it.
if you said it,
If you said it, we believe it. 'Cause you're a man of your word. We have this confidence, you'll finish what you started. God, you have never failed, and you won't start with me. You're present in every step, you're patient in every heartache. God, you have never failed, you won't start with me. Oh, we have this confidence, you'll finish what you started. God, you have never failed, you won't start with me. Oh, present in every step, patient in every heartache. God, you have never failed, you won't start with me. faithful to your promises, faithful to your promises. Great is your faithfulness. Oh.
Faithful one, so unchanging, ageless one, you're my rock of peace, Lord above, I depend on you. I call out to you again and again. I call out to you again and again. You are my rock in times of trouble. You lift me up when I fall down. All through my storms, your love's been my anchor. So my hope is in you alone.
What a wonderful celebration. Thank you so much to Nathan and to Leah for leading us in those songs. As you know, Fields of Life are committed to seeing educated and skilled young people, inspired by faith, hope, and love, transform their own communities. And because of that, we have story after story of young person who was once sitting in a Fields of Life school and are now leading change in their own communities. I'm going to introduce you now to our partner, Reverend Sam Opio, who leads our vocational training program in northern Uganda. And Sam is going to tell us a story about a young person that he has recently come in contact with during the COVID-19 emergency program.
Hello, I'm Frank Betzer, USA Manager for Fields of Life, and it's my pleasure to be speaking today with Reverend Samuel Opio. It's so good to see you again, my brother. I wish I could be with you in beautiful Gulu. Reverend Sam, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, your name and your family, where you're from, and your role with Fields of Life?
Thank you very much, Frank. I am Samuel Francis Opio. I'm married to Lydia, and together God has blessed us with 4 children. I work with Fields of Life as the project manager for Archbishop Jana Ndoum Vocational Training Institute in northern Uganda. I come from northeastern Uganda, but I work in northern Uganda basically as a missionary in my own country. I was attracted to northern Uganda because of the dire need of the communities here as a result of the effect of wars that took place in northern Uganda for more than 20 years. So I came here to minister to the needs of the people, especially the young people whom I felt needed a lot of support and guidance in northern Uganda. So when I came here, I've been working with the Diocese of Northern Uganda as a priest, but also establishing a vocational training institute here that we believe is an answer to the young people in northern Uganda.
Thank you. And could you tell us why the Vocational Technical Institute is so important for the young people there in Gulu and how it will be changing their lives?
Archbishop Jana Ndoum Vocational Training Institute is legally registered with the government of Uganda. And the Ministry of Education has given us a license to operate a business and vocational training in northern Uganda. We believe this is very important for the youth in northern Uganda because the war left many young people who are orphaned. There's a high level of poverty here. Many young people have not had opportunity to go for formal education. The young girls have dropped out of school because many of them are not supported. And we have the high level of teen marriages and teen pregnancies. Currently, the condition of COVID-19 has worsened the situation here in northern Uganda. We have registered the highest level of pregnancies in a short period of time because of the lockdown. So we believe many young people are going to drop out of school. The older generation is going through a lot of depression because they cannot support the young ones. And as a result, we are experiencing a number of deaths every day and burials are taking place. Mental health issues are coming up. And so we believe the Vocational Training Institute, which is a product of the partnership between Fields of Life and the Diocese of Northern Uganda, working with Southeastern Regional College in Northern Ireland to provide a modern vocational training institute, will provide high quality skills for the young people in Northern Uganda and the neighboring countries. We also believe that they will be employable because of the quality of the skills that will be provided. Working in partnership with Southeastern Regional College, giving technical guidance and technical support and better equipment, we believe that this is achievable. Also, because of the nature of the devastating effects of war in Northern Uganda, we are targeting holistic transformation. So we believe that the VTI will benefit the young people because they will go through a counseling process, they will go through career guidance, but they will also work in areas that they best fit in terms of their skills and gifting. So that is very important. And working with the community, we should be able to transform the community. So that is very important for us.
Reverend Samuel, that's so exciting to hear what the possibilities are and what is coming. You know, you have very significant responsibilities and big challenges to overcome there, but you're always so positive about what the potential is. What inspires you about the work that you do?
What inspires me in Northern Uganda and generally in the work I do is to see changed lives, especially to see young people who have gone through a lot of challenges, a lot of pain, a lot of struggles in their lives. Some may not even know their own parents. Some have been orphaned and they don't have any kind of love and responsible person taking care of them. Seeing those young people become responsible and change agents in their own community inspires me. I am so encouraged to see young leaders developing out of these challenges of war and now COVID, and they become responsible. One of the persons who inspires me a lot is Ronald Obonyo, whom I met when we went to Abura Nursery and Primary School recently. During the time of COVID, Fields of Life organized an emergency response to provide food supplies to the communities in the schools which we work in. One of the schools is Abura Nasaran Primary School. So when we went there to take the emergency food supplies, we requested for volunteers to help us carry these items, but also measure the bins such that each household would get some quantities that will help them. One of the people who volunteered is Ronald Obonyo, and he was actually the youngest among the team of volunteers. He was very active and did a very good job. In our context, the expectation of volunteering is that at the end of your work, you are given something to go back in addition to what you could have received as a registered beneficiary. Because of the number of the people who turned up, we could not give all the volunteers additional food items. Those who were registered would benefit from that registration. One of the people who was affected is Ronald Obonyo. So we explained to them what our situation was, and definitely they could also see that the food items will not take care of everybody. One of the people who quickly understood and went back to work was Ronald Obonyo. He humbly waited for his chance to get food items as a registered beneficiary, and he was registered as head of family. And when you look at the size of the person who is registered as head of family, it was questionable. Anyway, in our context, there are many young people who take care of their own families. But then after the distribution, I met one of the community members who is a policeman. It's called Keifa. Keifa came to me and requested that we consider one of the families in their community, which is highly vulnerable. And he mentioned that this family is a child-headed family. So I requested him to take me to meet that family. To my surprise, it was Ronald Obonyo and his siblings. And I saw the Ronald Obonyo, immediately I felt the guilt of not giving him additional food items. After practically seeing the need, I had to organize and send something for them. This is the story of Ronald Obonyo. His parents divorced and went separate ways to begin a new life. They left Ronald Obonyo and his siblings in the hands of a grandmother. Unfortunately, their grandmother died last year, leaving the children alone. So Ronald Obonyo took up the heavy responsibility and role of being the head of the family. I'm inspired by Ronald because Ronald still takes care of his brothers, but also continues with his education in Abura Nasaran Primary School. So the three brothers, Ronald and his brother Douglas and Jimmy, go to Abura Nasaran Primary School. And as a result, that makes me encouraged. I see Ronald as one of the good examples in our community of young people who are struggling to make a life, move on, and to be meaningful in the future. So I want to thank you, Frank, and the rest of the team outside there who are contributing to supporting young people like Ronald Obonyo, and especially those who will be coming to the VTI. We also want to thank all our partners who contributed for COVID-19 emergency response food supplies. This was a timely response, and I believe that because of that, many people were inspired and they are hopeful that there's people outside there who think about them. So thank you very much. I appreciate this. That inspires me, and I'm very happy to be part of what Fields of Life is doing in Northern Uganda, East Africa, and generally where we are all involved. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be part of this family.
Thank you, Reverend Samuel, and thank you for sharing that story about Ronald. I hope that the next time God allows me to be with you in Gulu, that you'll take me to meet Ronald, and so that I can hear his story too. And thanks for spending time with us today. I know all of us look forward to the day that's coming very soon when we'll see students learning at the VTI. And I pray that the Lord continues to pour out his blessings on you, your family, and everyone who's working hard to open the Vocational Technical Institute for the young people of Northern Uganda. Bless you, my brother.
Doesn't that put things into perspective? And it's young people like that who are the real change makers of the future. I said at the beginning that we wanted to tell you a little bit more about what the Love Is campaign is all about. So here is a story from my colleague Naomi about a young person that she met who's left a lasting imprint on her mind.
I met Judith whenever I was visiting Fields of Life projects in Uganda in August 2019. And she left an indelible imprint on me. Her story is one that I will never forget. I remember walking into this little compound, that red Ugandan soil. It was dusty and smoky, but as I approached this young girl, she ran towards me and was just fascinated by my hair, which was so different to hers. And she ran her hands through my hair, and she was so excited about the opportunity to plait it. And so I, like any young girl, love getting my hair done. So I sat down on this little broken plastic chair in the middle of this compound, and she started to plait my hair. And as she did, she started to tell me a little bit about her story. And very early on, we both worked out that we were the same age, and we were both born in 1992, and it only made what she was about to tell me next even more difficult to hear. Judith was just 27 whenever I met her, and she had never been to school. She had completely missed out on the opportunity of an education, because she had grown up in Gulu, which was the epicenter of a brutal conflict that has become known as one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. What happened in Gulu ended up killing thousands of people. 2 million people, almost the population of Northern Ireland, were displaced, and 25,000 children were forced to face the atrocities of war and become child soldiers. Judith was just 7 years old whenever her mum went out one day to get food for her family and never returned. She had been caught up in an ambush in her home village and had been killed. And tragically, just a few months later, Judith's father got sick and he too died. And so at just 8 years old, Judith was left in charge of 3 younger siblings, having to head up her household, orphaned at 8 years old. And when Judith was 12, she encountered a man who told her that he would look after her and her younger siblings, that he would provide them with what they needed. And it quite quickly transpired that this man was a rebel. Judith was abused by him. She was left pregnant, and no child should have to go through what she went through at such a young age. At 18, it looked like Judith's life had finally taken a turn for the better. She was introduced to a family friend. They fell in love, they got married, they had 2 children together. That was until the tragic night when Judith recounted the rebels stormed their home and killed her husband right before her eyes, robbing her of the only happiness and stability and security that she had ever known. As Judith opened up to me and shared her story with me, I honestly didn't know what to say or do. I was shocked. I was devastated. I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing. That time after time after time again, she had to deal with this trauma and tragedy, and after each one, pick herself up again and go again. I felt so uncomfortable at the injustice of how two girls who were exactly the same age could experience such different lives simply because of where they were born. I couldn't help but think, what if that had been me? What would I have done? I don't think that I would have had her bravery or her brilliance. She is an astonishing individual, and her strength, her resilience. I'm in awe of the woman that she has become despite her circumstances. She is easily the strongest, most resilient person that I have ever met. Just last year, Judith was given the opportunity to go to vocational college and to pursue her dream of becoming a hairdresser. When she talked to me about the opportunity that she had to become a hairdresser, her eyes just filled with joy and excitement that she finally had the chance to do what she wanted to do. It was obvious that she loved it. She had such a passion for engaging with people as they sat in that little chair for her to do their hair, and as she got to bless them in that way and make friendships along the way too. And she was the happiest that she had ever been. Just a few weeks ago, I had the joy of hearing the amazing news that Judith has now successfully finished her course. She has been able to set up her own beauty salon and fulfill her dream of becoming a hairdresser and doing what she loves to do. And because of that opportunity, she now is able to provide for her young children, to have the dignity of being able to send them to school and provide for their needs. I am blown away by this young lady's determination. What an exceptional individual to have endured all that she has and still to have the strength to go again and to try and turn her life around. What I came to realise in Gulu was that Judith's story represents a whole generation of young people who have missed out on their education. Her story is their story, and we spoke to many young people whenever we were there, and the terrifying thing was the consistency with which the same trauma, the same loss of life, loss of opportunity, loss of hope just came up time and time again. An entire generation who have missed out on their education and the opportunities that they deserve. They need our support now more than ever. You can help us to provide young people like Judith with opportunities that they need to fulfill their potential, to thrive and to flourish. Together, we can show young people like Judith what love is. By donating to the Love Is campaign, you can help protect young people like Judith from exploitation through child protection training, and you can help provide opportunities of new skills and vocational training. And the incredible thing is, when you give to the Love Is campaign, your donation will be doubled. Thank you for giving generously, and thank you for showing the next young person like Judith what love is. That love is patient, love is kind, and that love never fails.
It's so challenging to hear all that Judith has had to go through, and an example of how so many young people have had to go through such hardship and pain in their lives. If you would like to show someone like Judith that love perseveres, that love never fails, then please go to the Fields of Life website and give generously. Every donation tonight is being doubled. Sadly, that's all we have time for tonight. I hope you felt inspired. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to everybody who has participated, especially to Nathan and Leah for singing. To finish with, we are going to see some incredible African dance moves from across the Fields of Life family. So I hope that you enjoy that, and I hope that wherever you are, you can get up off the sofa and show us those dance moves. Thank you so much, and good night.
Woman, you did to Bombay. Kaduna, you do what the chicky Bombay. Style, you chicky Bombay. Dance for me, chicky Bombay, number one. Well, in Cabion, Nabiolico. Dance to the beat, to the flow. No matter what, when Nabiolico. Dance to the beat, to the flow. Oh, no, you can't be conyola. Yes, I'm conyola. Oh, no, you can't be sungula. You're not even Kusiba. Fire, fire, oh, gospel music with fire, oh, we no retire, oh, my DJ's so fire, oh. Woman, you did to Bombay, Kaduna, you do what the chicky Bombay. Style, you chicky Bombay. Dance for me, chicky Bombay, number one. Woman, you did to Bombay, Kaduna, you do what the chicky Bombay. Style, you chicky Bombay. Dance for me, chicky Bombay, number one. Well, in Cabion, Nabiolico. Dance to the beat, to the flow. No matter what, when Nabiolico. Dance to the beat, to the flow. Kanukalango, don't go back, Congo. Yes, you could dance slow. Light up your candle. Number one, everyone give you cholera. Number two, Nakayimba Nenkuyimbira. Number three, Emikisa no Fukira. Number four, Nambuli no Tijuza. Fire, fire, oh, gospel music with fire, oh, we no retire, oh, my DJ so fire, oh. Woman, you did to Bombay, Kaduna, you do what the chicky Bombay.